What if your ex is doing no contact too? That's what we're going to be talking about in this video. But first, my name is Clay with ModernLove.life, where we help you get the great loving relationship that you're looking for without having to play mind games, without having to play hard to get, and without having to pretend to be someone or something that you are not. If you like what we're doing here, please do me a favor by hitting the thumbs up button on this video. And if you're new here, think about subscribing to the channel. All right, so I know that there are a lot of people who have, let's just say, concerns about doing no contact. I totally get it. You know, the first time I ever did no contact, I was absolutely convinced that my ex would forget about me, that, you know, at the time we had been together for 5 years, and I thought that the whole 5 years we were together were just going to be like, whoa, what happened? Who are you? I had all sorts of concerns, like somehow it would just do more damage than good, that it would set me back even further than I already was, all that sort of stuff. And don't get me wrong, there's absolutely a difference between doing active no contact and passive no contact. I obviously advocate active no contact. You know, if you're listening to other folks out there, all bets are off. Let's just say most of what I've heard other people talk about is really passive no contact, hoping that just the act of not being in contact with your ex is somehow going to change things. So, you know, if your ex is doing no contact as well, because, you know, maybe they've heard about it somewhere else on the internet. I mean, no contact isn't just about getting back together with your ex. It's also about moving on from your ex too. You know, in the little world of people that are trying to move on from their exes, they talk about the no contact rule as well. So, like, what if your ex is doing no contact? And the only reason that this would actually be a major problem is if you were using no contact as a tool to try to get your ex to initiate contact with you, open up to you, admit that they miss you, come crawling back to you over broken shards of glass or something like that. I don't know what it is about the broken shards of glass. Everyone talks about the broken shards of glass. I don't know what that's all about. Does anyone actually want their ex to come crawling back over broken shards of glass? I don't know. If you do, leave a comment down below, you sadistic, terrible person. Okay, so if you are approaching no contact as something like that, it's, let's be honest, kind of a mind game, okay? You're kind of playing a mind game with your ex if you expect them or want them to come back to you, come crawling back to you over the broken shards of glass or not, admit that they miss you or whatever because you cut contact. If that is your expectation, that if I do X, then my ex will do Y, that is the wrong approach. Let's just say a less effective approach with no contact. I mean, there's no objective right or wrong. There's only ineffective and effective approaches. Let's just leave it at that. So, okay. If your ex is doing no contact too, and you're using passive no contact, and you're hoping that simply just the act of not talking to your ex is going to bring the two of you back together, or at least get them talking to you, then that's passive no contact, okay? And it's a legitimate concern. You have a legitimate concern if you're doing passive no contact, and you think that your ex might be doing no contact as well. If, on the other hand, you're doing active no contact, then you're in a very different position. And, of course, I advocate doing active no contact. If you're unfamiliar with the difference and you want to learn more about active no contact, check out our series on no contact up there. I'll go ahead and link to that in a video card. But active no contact is about setting yourself up for success. It's not just about hoping that the simple fact that you're not talking to your ex is somehow going to change things. Sure, that might happen. Let's be honest. Sometimes that can happen. Sometimes not talking to your ex will improve things, will change things, will make them admit that they miss you, and all of that sort of stuff. But there's no guarantee with it. There is a much better guarantee if you are actually able to change the way that you interact with your ex, change the way that you interact with other people through doing something like active no contact. That is to say, if you can change the way that you bring yourself to interacting with other people, such that you're able to connect on an emotional level instead of a surface level connection. If you're able to actually empathize with them, understand where they're coming from emotionally, connect with them where they're at emotionally, deepen that emotional connection, create a meaningful bond through techniques like relating, rewarding, things like that. If you're able to actually hold your composure in situations that might feel uncomfortable, oftentimes people do either, the doormat kind of thing, which we call collapsing, where they just sort of bow down to their ex's every needs or whims, or they'll do the opposite side of things, which is what we call posturing, where they will, either pretend to be aloof, distant, like they don't care about their ex, or they'll oftentimes pretend to be always happy around their ex because they think if their ex sees them as being happy all the time, that they'll want to come back. But the thing with posturing is that your ex doesn't want to be with a one-dimensional person. And nobody wants to be in a relationship with somebody who's unimpacted by them emotionally. You want to be in a relationship with somebody who actually gives a damn about being in a relationship with you. That's the way that probably most people out there want their relationship to look. And when it comes to the collapse side of things, that's not very helpful either, because collapsing, it doesn't allow your ex to see where you are emotionally. It doesn't allow them to see where you're at emotionally. And if they don't know where you are emotionally, they're never going to be able to trust you. And if they don't trust you, then it's going to be very, very, very hard for them to actually want to be in a relationship with you. So you want to work on all of these sorts of things. These are things that we advocate people to focus on during active no contact. These are what we call advanced relational skills. I'll go ahead and link to a series that we made on advanced relational skills up there as well too. So if your ex is doing no contact as well, and you're doing active no contact yourself, then you don't have to worry about your ex not being in contact with you, because as you come out of active no contact, if you haven't heard from them, if they haven't initiated contact with you, if they haven't crawled over those broken shards of glass that you've conveniently left outside of your doorstep or whatever, then all you have to do is contact them yourself. And because you've done active no contact, you will be contacting them in a much different way than you probably did before doing no contact. You'll probably be much more centered, much more grounded, much more empathetic, much more able to connect with them on an emotional level, much more poised, much more curious, all of these sorts of things that lead to a deeper connection. And because of that, your ex is much more likely to respond, much more likely to open up, because they see you approaching things in a much different way. If they are stubbornly committed to staying in no contact with you, despite the fact that you're approaching things in a much better way, then just know that that's kind of where they're at. And you have to understand that there's a difference between getting your ex back now, today, and getting your ex back at some point in the future. Oftentimes, people have this black or white thinking where it's like, okay, either my ex and I are going to get back together now, or like within a month or something, or we're never going to get back together and my situation is hopeless. But that's not the only two options that there are for you. You can do it now. You can do it never. Those are definitely on the table. But you could also get back together maybe several months from now, maybe a few years from now. Who knows? Sometimes your ex needs to go on their own journey of growth as well too. I mean, sure, if you want to see what's possible right now between the two of you, absolutely go ahead and explore that. But, if it looks like this is going to be a long road and it looks like they're not open to talking to you right now, I want you to be okay with the idea of, not putting your life on pause and pursuing your ex indefinitely right now. I mean, it's okay if they're talking to you and the two of you need to kind of like work things out, but if they're just not communicative with you because they're stubbornly staying in this no contact thing that they might be doing, if they're doing the like no contact forever plan, then just don't put your life on hold for them. You can circle back to this from time to time, maybe send them a message every once in a while or something, just to see if they're open and receptive. But I wouldn't cling to this idea if your ex is absolutely stubbornly closed off to being in contact with you. Yes, there are a lot of things that we can do through how we choose to contact your ex, what sort of messages you're sending, where you're at emotionally when you're interacting with them, and all of these sorts of things. But if they're stubbornly deciding to stay out of contact with you, then you don't want to push it, because that's just going to push them deeper and deeper and deeper into the resistance that they're feeling towards being in contact with you, okay? So I hope this has helped answer the question of what if my ex is doing no contact too. If you like what we're doing, of course, give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you're new here. You may also want to check out this series we put together on the no contact rule to help you understand some other things that you might need to know about no contact, or you might want to check out this video over here. But once again, my name is Clay. Take care, and I'll talk to you next time.